Welcome to DP2 version 28.1. In this session and video, I'll be talking about a Microsoft technology transition that impacts how we update existing HTML-based features in DP2. So what's the purpose of this video? The purpose and intent of this video is to explain what the MS-HTML and WebView2 engines from Microsoft are, what Microsoft is planning for them, and what we've done in DP2 to take advantage of the transition, and help you determine if there are additional implications for your lab, depending on your specific customizations. There's two reasons why you may be interested in this now. We're upgrading the HTML layout engine in stock DP2 Windows. If you'd be willing to do some real-life testing of our WebView2 tools, we'd appreciate it. We've tested it, but we've kept it off in default, but in version 28.1 to give us a little beta testing time before we turn it on for everyone else. It's your call. If you've made certain very specific types of customizations to DP2 involving HTML-based windows, then those customizations might need to be updated at some point. So it's kind of give you a sense of what's happening. We've built some capability into version 28.1 that can help you identify if any of your customizations fall into this category or not. And they can help you see if those changes are forward compatible with the new engine. And if not, we'll explain how to deal with it. Microsoft, as you may already know, is phasing out MS-HTML or Trident, which is the proprietary layout or browser engine behind Internet Explorer. They're moving from MS-HTML to WebView2, a newer, faster, more secure platform based on the Chromium engine from Google. This change may impact any program or app that uses MS-HTML. It's not just about DP2. But to be more specific, this change may only impact those features that were written using the MS-HTML engine. An example of this type of window in DP2 is our system monitor. So what is HTML and MS-HTML, and why does it matter? You may, of course, already know this, but Internet Explorer 11 was retired in 2022. MS-HTML was the engine for IE 11. So we've expected this change or something close to it since then. Even though you might not use IE directly anymore, its engine is still working in the background. This is true for all Windows-based applications, and again, not just DP2. Microsoft has said that going forward, they will not be adding new features or updates to MS-HTML. At best, they will continue to provide security updates, at least until 2029. Once support ends in 2029, vulnerabilities will grow over time. Although we're aware this date might be fluid, in assessing the size of our task and the amount of potential variability from Microsoft, starting now allows us to transition at an easy pace and evolve our development tools to take full advantage of the new platform's benefits. And there are benefits from migrating to WebView2. It's not just about replacing old tech. It's about unlocking new potential. Here are some examples. Faster, more consistent rendering across Windows versions, access to the latest features and development toolkits and libraries, better developer tooling and debugging options, ongoing security updates aligned with Edge or Chromium, enabling more advanced applications, opening the door to a richer experience in DP2. During the transition to WebView2, existing features will look and behave pretty much the same. Some minor changes to the UI are possible, but our goal is to make sure that the transition for you is seamless. MS-HTML has powered DP2's HTML-based Windows for over 20 years, so we're used to making changes as Windows evolves. I want to reinforce that this change impacts only Windows and DP2 that are based in part or in their entirety on HTML. This change does not affect any of the other features, windows, dialog boxes that don't include HTML functionality. Our goal is to learn as much as we can now, get the updates and testing underway, implement new development in WebView2. We intend to stay ahead of the curve and fully leverage the advantage of this Microsoft transition. So MS-HTML and DP2 today. The transition starts in 28.1. We've included the WebView2 engine alongside MS-HTML. These two platforms work side by side. MS-HTML remains our default program. During the next couple of years, DP2 labs will include both. MS-HTML again remains the default. We will be updating you as we go. But if you have questions, please reach out via service desk or shoot us an email or make a phone call. We love hearing from you. Customized HTML-based windows developed by your lab will continue to work without any changes as long as the MS-HTML engine is available, which is at least until 2029. After that, Microsoft has indicated they will no longer provide updates. This could result in security concerns if your customized HTML relies on MS-HTML after 2029. We expect Microsoft to publish a plan before 2029, but that could put your lab at risk for having to make changes in a hurry. We are migrating stock DP2 to WebView2 now. We suggest you consider working on a plan for any of your own customized HTML. We encourage you to assess what you have in your lab and consider starting the process sooner rather than later. If your lab has not customized DP2, then there's nothing for you to do or worry about because we'll be doing the work for you. And again, if you're interested in helping us out, as with any new feature in DP2, we'll give you the tools and access to our test work to develop any of your own. We're going to now move into DP2 so that I can kind of talk to you about what's happening and what it looks like, and kind of how it's going to feel from both a user perspective and a little bit about what it'll be like from a development, or more admin point of view. So what does it look like in DP2 today? It really doesn't look any different. You're not going to, 28.1, you're not going to see any visible differences. And in fact, you can upgrade to 28.1 and leave the features off altogether and not worry about it at all. This is especially true for labs who have not done any custom work in DP2. It's been our goal from version 1 to make the DP2 platform highly user extensible. And HTML helped us meet that goal because of its powerful rendering capabilities. It's a natural choice for DP2. So I'm going to look at some examples or show you some examples of different types of windows in DP2 so that even if you never, you don't need to do anything at all, you'll just have a basic understanding of which windows are which and which ones are impacted and which ones definitely won't be. So as an example of one that definitely won't be, we have our order data table. This is the existing traditional legacy grid view. There's no HTML involved in this particular type of a window, so it won't be impacted. Another example of that is the order images window, which is a thumbnail view. This also has no HTML associated with it. Something like the render engine control window has no HTML. We have a second kind of type of window that I want to show you, which is the order items window, which includes both the traditional non-HTML thumbnail view and an HTML-based, it's sort of a filtering view. It allows you to look at your maybe hundreds or thousands of order items with subcategories, right? Such as having labels or categories or workflows and so on. The traditional windows are this kind of gray background. The HTML-based windows are sort of a yellower background. And so as another example of one of those type of windows is the head alignment and group balancing window, right? The manage images window or subject info window are kind of the same. Subject info wizard, let me be specific about that. So these are HTML-based windows. Later on, and more recently, what we've been doing is we've been developing using frameworks that allow us to offer even more responsive HTML-based content, such as the system monitor or the layout, one of the layout helpers or the layout helper that's the nodes, all of those kinds of things. We've begun to migrate some of these windows already, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we're doing that and why we're doing it the way we're doing it. And I'm going to do that by starting with the KPL help. KPL help, just as a reminder, is the place where we're providing ongoing help. So a lot of this is focused on administrators or production managers or, the development community, the people, the IT people that are supporting your work in DP2. But this is an important place to kind of identify for all of that part of our audience. So just as a reminder from what I said a little bit earlier, right? The KPL help can be updated on an ongoing basis. So you can check for newer help and download newer help. This is updated on a regular basis. I'll reinforce that it does not require upgrading your version of DP2 in order to get more recent KPL help. What we're going to be looking at today, though, is over here in this left hand, is the DP2 scripts, future changes to the HTML windows. The guys have done a really great job of documenting, not just the story, what we're doing, why we're doing it. Some of the other things, some of the content from this presentation is if you go through and read all of this, you're gonna hear hopefully the very same message. So this is the starting point. And this is going to allow you not only to have that history, but to read through it. This also gives you access to the control point. There's a table that we're using to control really most of this functionality. And I'm going to kind of minimize the rest of this stuff just in case I need it later. And talk about this window. This is the scripts that use WebView2 window or dialog or data table, sorry. And this is where you will be able to control not just who sees it, how it's seen, when it's seen, what is seen, but all of the different steps in this process you'll control from this data table. It'll show you what ones we're working on. And when you look at the default, yours might not look exactly like mine because I do have a couple of extra windows in here, and I'll explain that momentarily. But it's going to show you which ones we're converting, which ones if you will manually add yours. So it'll show you which ones you're converting. But it allows you to do two really important things. The first thing that it allows you to do is it allows you to turn on the setting that'll show you which windows are using HTML today. It'll also, and this is also where you'll add, as I said, your custom scripts. It'll also allow WebView2 for one or more workstations. And what I mean by that is as a starting point, you can allow which windows enable it so that they are being displayed and show you that these are being displayed in WebView2. And I'm going to kind of go into that a little more in depth as I go through this, the process of this table. So scripts that use WebView2, that's your control point. When you first open the table, you're going to see, as I said, the ones that we've already converted. And I'll go through what you're seeing here. The first is you're seeing the script itself. What you're seeing in here, although it is full path, what you're seeing in here is the parent folder and the file itself, whether or not it's enabled. And you'll see each one of these can be enabled separately. So if you wanted to go in and see, enabling it for WebView2, and again, that's a separate, I'm going to show you that setting in a moment for where you're going to turn that on. But you can see here that you can do them you can do all of them. If you are a lab that has custom work and you've got custom scripts and custom windows and dialog boxes in DP2, when you manually add those, you'll select those as user defined. That way, if we install a new version of DP2, they won't get overwritten. That's something that we've had for a very long time in DP2, so you'll recognize it. We also have a description, and what we've done in the description field is it's got 3 lines, so it's a little bit different than some of the other ones. The first one is the title. The second one tells you what it does. The third one, and these are again, we're going to encourage you to kind of follow the same strategy. The third one tells you one place or the only place potentially, depending on the window, where you're getting access. So you can see this is database info, displays the details of the DP2 database, and click the database info category from the DP2 taskbar then the database button. So it gives you some sense of what we have in here, what we're doing, and where you can find it. So that as you kind of are acclimatizing to this window, it's a little bit easier to deal with. So there's a couple of other things. Now what I'm going to show you now works both from the right-click menu, as always, or from the action menu, and I'm going to kind of show it to you from the action menu. So we've got a couple of things that are important to be able to highlight for you. The first is that once we get past the kind of standard ones, the first that I want to talk about is that these are broken into 2 different kind of categories. One is system settings and the other one is workstation settings. This when you enable these, and again, you could enable them individually, but you can also enable them on a single, one or more workstations, or you can enable them for the entire system, your entire lab. And enabling them does a couple of different things. It allows you, as I said, to see which windows are HTML and also allow WebView2, allow the display through WebView2. So I have mine, you can see I have mine set on show window type in HTML windows on all workstations or allow WebView2 on all workstations. But I don't have to have them that way. I could actually have them just view the workstations. So here's all my workstations, and I actually have mine set up this way so that I have enabled on just the one workstation, but disabled on the others. And again, I'm showing you these just as an example. Or I can take a look at all the system settings. And again, in this case, it's only going to show me those system settings specific to the MSHTML to WebView2 conversion. So, and I'll just kind of give another moment to say, so that, again, you've got the three that are system-wide, and then the two that are workstation specific, so that you can make some decisions about who's going to see what and how they're going to see it. So what does that look like? And this is an important step for us to be able, for me to be able to kind of show you the way in which we've enabled this. The first one is show HTML, right? That was our first option. And I'm going to just bring up these windows so I can kind of show it to you. So the first one says, the first kind of version of this, and actually I'm going to bring up something else to show you that, but the first version of this, as I said, the way in which we're using this, we're creating this display is on Windows, legacy Windows that have no HTML content. There's not going to be any changes. The changes that you'll see will be in the title bar. So that's the first way. And that is a window that has that's true for order images and it's true for the order data. There's no changes. The changes that we're going to see in the title bar, I'll give you the second example, is a window that is, that I mentioned slightly earlier. This window is a window that it is displaying that it is showing us that it's being displayed using MSHTML. And you can see that by this little tiny greater than sign on the left of the title in the title bar. So it's not going to be obnoxious for your users. It's very subtle. It's just going to show you this little single greater than sign. This is the subject information setup window is one that we have not worked with yet. And that will be the state. If you were to enable this and add your custom script to that data table, you would see them here as not having been worked on yet. The third kind of state of display, if you will, and I'm going to use the order items window to show you this, and you probably may have already noticed it. The third kind of this order items window we have worked on, and it is ready to go. And that window shows two greater than signs to the left of the title in the title bar. And that's the cue that this window is being displayed using WebView2 instead of MSHTML. And that's also going to be true for these windows that are the newer windows. Will have exactly the same cue. It's just two small little greater than signs to the left of the title in the title bar. So that's really the kind of the extent of impact, if you will, and that's only if you turn it on in 28.1 and future versions of DP2. So I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. I know I don't always do that, but I want to talk a little bit about what happens for labs that are doing custom HTML windows. So you've changed things and you've added a new window or you've added some other type of functionality or script in DP2. So I want to say first, only HTML-based windows are affected. So if you've developed custom windows and they're not using HTML at all, then they don't have to change. There's nothing for you to do. It means, though, that you may have to update any customized DP2 windows, dialog boxes, and scripts that leverage HTML so they're compliant with the correct syntax and the rendering behavior of WebView2, preferably before 2029. And partly this is happening because not everything that's being developed in WebView2 is backwards compatible to MS-HTML. So it's a little bit of a Microsoft complexity there. And you may need to update not just the HTML, but CSS or JavaScript, and complexity matters. The amount of customization in your lab will determine how large a task you'll have in moving from MS-HTML to WebView2. We encourage you to kind of do as we're doing and get ahead of the curve so that you're not surprised, that you have plenty of time if you need to, help from us or from third-party developers. And we're migrating some of our stock DP2 scripts, as I said. We'll share what we know and coach you through the migration process. We'll be updating again the KPL help on a regular basis. That's the first place to check for new info. So what's next? This is a kind of a generalized roadmap on how we're planning the transition to work. There's no timelines because, we're going to continue to move forward, and as we can do things, we will be doing things. But we want to make sure that we're responsive not only to your lab, to you as labs, but also to what's happening with Microsoft. The migration begins when you upgrade to 28.1. WebView2 is not available, as I said, in previous versions of DP2, including 28.0. The first of these changes is available for testing, as I showed you. We've included those scripts that are done and tested by the DP2 team in the scripts using WebView2 data table. Our plan is to convert the DP2 user interface HTML Windows scripts first. We're working on these now, and we'll continue to do so in upcoming versions until we're ready to move to WebView2 as our default engine. This doesn't mean that the version you're on will stop working, not at all. That said, if you want to work with and benefit from using WebView2, you'll need to upgrade to the current version. We'll provide access to the new versions of existing scripts from the text library as we develop and test them, and we'll let you know about that. We'll keep you informed. Remember, you have total control over which scripts your lab exposes and uses to render using WebView2 by enabling these in the system or workstation data tables. In testing these, you'll be able to, as I showed you, toggle between MS-HTML and WebView2 by enabling and disabling them in the checkbox. So key takeaways. We want you to get started. Take a look at your DP2 system and figure out if your lab has any customized HTML windows. Start developing a plan for how to move forward between now and 2029. Try out our already transitioned windows and get feel for any differences. We're a dev team, so we don't put DP2 through the same rigor that you do. So we're here to help. And a couple of tips for successful migration, because we're going through the same process, so we're learning a lot about how this is happening, and we'll continue to update you, especially as this will happen probably at every webinar going forward. Well, at least between now and 2029. So checklist, turn on, if you decide that you want to participate and you want to get ahead of it, turn on the show window type setting during testing. That's a place to start. You don't have to really do anything other than that. It'll help you show, be able to see which windows, whether they're stock DP2 or custom, are being displayed using HTML. If you're concerned that special or specific scripts and macros might be impacted by upgrading, please reach out to us so that we can work together to get your lab started and to get you to the point where you can upgrade to 28.1. You can also consider creating a separate dev environment if you don't already have one that will allow you to test outside your normal production workflow. And we actually recommend this. We recommend starting with one workstation, starting in one place, seeing what you have in front of you, maybe the work ahead of you, remembering that we're taking care of everything that's stock DP2. If you haven't changed it, don't worry about it. But if you have changed it, identify and organize, keep track of which custom windows are HTML based. We've got it like giant spreadsheet. We can help you with that too. And we're kind of counting on it. We're planning on, kind of providing assistance where needed. Talk to third-party developers about timelines and begin to develop your own timelines about when is the best time to develop or update MS-HTML windows and the best time to roll them out for your users or your operators. Check KPL help regularly for migration tips updates. We'll update you during our webinars, as I said. We're in this together. Our goal is to make this a non-event so that when Microsoft makes changes, we're ready, and we want you to be too. Thank you.